Yo, what up? Today we are gonna deep dive into what diversity looks like in video games, the good, the bad, and the in-between. Given the current climate, this is a very hot topic, and the newest victim is Concord. Oh, seven's in the chat. But what really is diversity? Imagine a game where every NPC is just a white box. That wouldn't be so diverse now, would it? Now, let's add some color. Looks like everything is so diverse and inclusive, right? But is it fun? You are just staring at a bunch of boxes, so not really. What diversity is and what it needs to achieve is creating a world that feels alive and believable. It's about creating a wide cast of characters where interesting designs can shine, and if other people feel represented, that's a plus. But most importantly, it's about making games that are fun. Having said that, there are a lot of people that see things differently and try to push a certain agenda, one direction or another. You may have heard about the boogeyman called DEI, aka Diversity, Equity and Inclusion. We can all agree that on the surface, the message behind the name is positive. But just because something is called happy flowers and rainbows doesn't mean that we get to close our eyes, agree with every message and buy every product that is associated with it. Does anyone remember the German Workers' Party? How did that one turn out? And this brings me to the aggressive push towards forced diversity, where it's so obvious that the developers are trying to check off boxes. These attempts often feel awkward, and they can actually backfire by making the games feel less authentic. The world setting should dictate the amount of diversity there is. If you are making a history-accurate game in feudal Japan, your main character should probably be a Japanese person, and not some black guy with hip-hop beats as his soundtrack. Hope you are watching, Ubisoft. If we take an intergalactic space game for example, any race is a good race. In fact, humans might actually be the minority. Now, why is this such a big problem in modern gaming? Because some over-aggressive groups push for diversity, with zero care about the impact on the medium. There's a very good reason why the finest dishes in the world only have a few selected ingredients and not the whole grocery aisle. In the same vein, if I'm eating a steak, a fork and a knife are enough. I don't need a spoon or a spatula or a lawnmower to enjoy it. This will be used when the task fits, doesn't mean that I hate them or that I think any less of them. The real stake is that the general public doesn't even care about these things. Most of them just cruise around, enjoying things they like and ignoring everything else. This includes gamers who for the most part just want to have a good time, playing their game going clicky-clacky. However, some of these people on the extremes would have you believe that you are either on their side or you are the worst thing to ever exist. This us versus them mentality may work when engaging with the other extremes of the conversation. But for everybody else in the middle, you are just a weirdo trying too hard to push your ideology. If your idea doesn't improve the game, nobody cares. It's plain and simple. Especially companies. They can pretend to care about your agenda, but actually, the only thing they care about is money and nothing else. Is it inclusive when they change their profile pictures during Pride Month? Is it also inclusive when they only change it for the Western side of the audience? Or are they just pandering to your wallet? As long as something brings money, a company will do it. And this is exactly where people lose track of what video games really are. Money-making machines. Sure, you can have Billy making a game in his garage, but you are probably never gonna play that. If there's any dollar amount assigned to the game, it becomes a product. And you know what happens when a product doesn't deliver? Your favorite studio gets shut down. This is the crux of the problem. Diversity and all that. Doesn't matter if your game is bad. If the only thing you got going on is diversity, it can make things even worse. Because you spent all that time on some superficial nonsense that most people don't even care for. Or rather, they care for in a very abstract way. What they really care about is having fun games, and that's it. And that's the most important part the developer should be focusing on. Want some examples? Here we go. When the Miles Morales game was announced, there was a significant amount of online chatter from certain groups who argued that it was for forced diversity, as Miles was not the original Spider-Man. They claimed it was a ploy for inclusivity and a way to appease woke gamers. And you know what happened? The game was incredibly successful, receiving critical acclaims and selling millions of copies. Many players appreciated the fresh take on Spider-Man's story and Miles' unique character. Eventually, the controversy died down because the game delivered on its promise of fun gameplay and compelling storytelling. Want an even better example? In the original Marvel comics, Nick Fury was a white dude. However, in the cinematic universe, Samuel L. Jackson was cast as Fury. And you know what? He knocked it out of the park and became one of the best-selling movie series out there. However, when the Avengers game released, nobody complained about Nick. Everybody complained about the repetitive gameplay, timed DLCs, grinding progression, and everything else you can think of. All of this to say that good games are good, regardless of diversity. In fact, if it makes sense, it's more than welcome. Just don't shove it down my throat without taking me out to dinner first. So, what do you think? Does diversity matter more than gameplay in video games? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. For more of my random thoughts and things, hit that like button, subscribe, and yada yada.